Redesigned for 2024, the GMC Acadia is the brand's well-liked three-row SUV. With an additional 10.6 inches of overall length and 8.4 inches of wheelbase over the outgoing model, it is significantly larger. That adds 27% more legroom in the second row and a whopping 80% more cargo space. Its new appearance gives it a more aggressive personality because it now more closely resembles the GMC Sierra pickup. Despite having many similarities to the updated 2024 Chevrolet Traverse, including size, GMC did a great job designing the Acadia to set it apart from its close relative. The Acadia's tall, truck-like grille gives it more presence than before, and its C-shaped LED headlights give it individuality. The large C-pillar is hidden from view by the enlarged D-pillar along the side. This has the added benefit of concealing the cargo area from onlookers while simultaneously enhancing the view for third-row passengers. Around back, there is more LED lighting visible, and GMC claims that the quad exhaust tips were inspired by the squarish C8 Chevy Corvette. Even though the overall style is more truck-like, it still has a sporty vibe. Much of its underbelly is shared with its Chevy platform counterpart. It has the same brand new 2.5-liter Turbo 4 engine that generates 326 pound-feet of torque and 328 horsepower. An 8-speed automated transmission is used for gearbox shifting. The engine uses the same E-phaser to dynamically modify the camshaft to advance or delay the spark in response to demands for efficiency and power. Additionally, the front-wheel drive Acadia achieves 20 mpg in the city, 27 mpg on the highway, and 23 mpg overall, or 19/24, 21 mpg when equipped with all-wheel drive, just like the Traverse. Acadia offers the more expensive Denali Trim, $55,695 for front-wheel drive and $57,695 for all-wheel drive, which is more luxurious than the base Elevation Trim, $43,995 including destination, with an additional $2,000 for all-wheel drive, and the off-road Ready AT4 Trim, $51,395 with all-wheel drive standard. The Denali and AT4 were available for us to test in South Carolina, but we'll have to wait to assess the Elevation's feature content. Our first trip was to the Acadia in the Denali. Entering the Acadia, one can quickly see that its interior is far superior to that of the Traverse. The centerpiece up front is the tech interface that comes standard on all Acadia trims, which consists of an 11-inch driver display and a 15-inch infotainment screen that is oriented portrait-wise and runs Google built-in. Additionally, a head-up display is standard on the Denali. The ability to switch the instrument panel display to donate the majority of its real estate to mirror the Google Maps navigation was one feature that really helped, in both Acadias we drove, on unfamiliar roads. This allowed us to see our directions clearly while freeing up the infotainment screen for any other functions needed along the way. Indeed, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are still available for this GM product. The Denali's leather seats feature exquisite stitching, and the interior decor is warm overall. The hard, grainy plastics are still there, but they don't overpower the cabin. The Denali name etched at the far end of the dash is a great feature of the open-pore IU's wood trim. Most people, including designers, would probably miss the distinctive shape and good character of the fairing covering the driver's side of the dash. The large center console is open underneath for convenient storage because GMC relocated the drive selector from the console to the steering column. Another feature we like is the integrated large and sturdy HVAC toggles at the base of the infotainment screen. The entire lineup has a standard 7-passenger arrangement with second-row captain's chairs. Bench seats are not an option. You can adjust the second-row seats forward and backward to create extra space for yourself or to chastise the person sitting behind you. The third row is quite spacious, though. But compared to the cozy second row, the third row is not as spacious. A segment-beating 23.0 cubic feet of cargo space is available behind the third row, with the added benefit of a large underfloor bin. By flattening the third row, the available space for a family of 4 grows to 57 28.3 cubic feet. The car can accommodate up to 97.5 cubes when all the seats are folded down, which makes it a useful moving vehicle. Additionally, there is a 5,000-pound towing capacity in case the inside of the Acadia gets too small. The 20-inch wheels that are standard on our particular Denali tester were in place of the optional 22-inch wheels and the performance suspension that is included with the Denali Reserve package. The updated suspension's passive, frequency-based dampers react to road input in a different way. The 20-inch tires with the stock suspension were ideal for our drive, though the larger tires with their shorter sidewalls are definitely more important to have. Even though we didn't encounter all of the cratered, tire-flattening pavement that we do in Michigan, the tires managed to handle the imperfections we did encounter with ease. The hands-free driver assistance system known as Super Cruise, available as an optional feature for the entire Acadia lineup, was installed in our Denali. Even now, the system is fantastic. Its automated lane changes help it expertly navigate alongside or around traffic, relieving fatigue and boosting confidence. We were occasionally surprised by some of the smaller highways it would operate on as GM keeps adding miles to its map of compatible roads, which currently stands at about 750,000 miles. This kind of road had several intersections with stop signs. Before some of these busier intersections, the Acadia would warn us to take over steering with a red light on the steering wheel, a message on the driver display, and a vibration of the seat cushion. A great way to deliver an alert without freaking out any passengers on board. Even now, we think Super Cruise is still one of the more advanced and user-friendly DSS systems. The 2.5-liter turbo engine appeared to be a good match for the Acadia. Even though it didn't have the same manly appearance as a V6, it still had enough power to propel the Acadia forward and keep it there. It sounds good as well, and the audible portion isn't overly loud. Very little turbo lag and enough power to spin the front wheels from a stop are present, and the driver display recommends switching to AWD mode. It will be interesting to see if the engine still feels up to the task of towing a trailer full of people, even though nothing has shown that it won't thus far. Roughly 2/3 of the 1.2 inches of extra ride height that the AT4 gains over the elevation come from the suspension, with the tires providing the remaining part. A modified Denali performance suspension intended for more demanding use is utilized by the AT4. It shares the Chevy Traverse Z71's hydraulic rebound stop as well. It also features red tow hooks, underbody skid plates, a twin-clutch all-wheel drive system, and drive modes for both terrain and off-road driving. The external brightwork has tinted chrome, giving it a brooding, glossy, graphite-like appearance, but it's not quite bright. Marker lights on the AT4's wheel arches are a subtle but fashionable addition. It would be imprudent of us to ignore them. Certain standard features found inside the Denali are absent from the AT4, including the power steering column, memory settings, leather upholstery, ventilated front seats, heated second-row seats, one-touch second-row folding, and power third-row folding. Even though not everything is accessible, what is still worthwhile and, in our opinion, suitable for the intended purpose. The combination fabric and synthetic seats feel durable and comfortable, and the rest of the interior design, which includes wood trim, is still attractive. However, driving the AT4 feels even more remarkable even with fewer amenities. When traveling at high speeds on gravel roads, the AT4 excels at creating enormous dust plumes behind us. The suspension does a fantastic job of reducing bumps and ruts. Once the gravel turned to fine, dry sand, the AT4 was a hoot. It was more than content to maintain momentum and even accelerate fairly quickly through the loose medium when operating in off-road mode. The front tires scraped through the sand, keeping the Acadia's grille pointed in the direction we wanted it to go. It felt a little playful, but not unruly. For kicks, we changed the drive mode back to normal mid-sand rip, and sure enough, the AT4 struggled to maintain momentum as the traction control system prevented slippage, slowing down noticeably despite my inputs. Using the ignorantly located toggle on the left side of the steering column to switch back to off-road mode, the Acadia was ready to go again. this time with the wheels having a little more freedom to spin thanks to the AT4's Active Torque Control AWD system. To allow us to get some wheels in the air, GMC kindly dug up one of the sandy roads on our drive route without requiring us to constantly switch between the brake and gas pedals. The AT4 was content to quietly cruise through in terrain mode. Additionally, each wheel liftoff and touchdown was handled smoothly, silently, and comfortably, at least from the driver's seat. The sand ruts were sufficiently deep and loose to cause the Acadia to become momentarily stuck, its wheels spinning ineffectively when we returned to the same location later on, having been recently resurfaced by GMC's on-site earth-moving machinery. Fortunately, we didn't need to use the tow hooks because we could get out of the pit and eventually return to mostly level ground by backing up a few inches, rolling the front wheel back onto the incline, and maintaining a steady foot on the accelerator. This allowed the all-wheel drive system to manage the torque. Similar to the Denali we had driven the day before, the AT4 proved to be fairly comfortable on pavement. When we applied more force during braking, we could induce more wheel spin from the all-terrain tires, and they produced a slight noise when we used their lateral grip reserves while navigating a bend. From the driver's seat, excessive body roll didn't cause any issues, and on the straight portions of the road, the excellent suspension kept leveling out whatever came at it. Super Cruise was another feature on our AT4, and it performed flawlessly, just like it did in the Denali. There was only a slight wobble in the steering wheel on center while cruising down the highway, but that was the only difference we noticed from the steering system. But as we chugged straight ahead, hands in our laps, everything felt stable and calm. So that did not translate into any additional motion in the cabin, maybe even more so than the slightly less expensive Chevy Traverse. Even less expensive than that, if you go further down the Chevy's deeper trim lineup, the 2024 Acadia is a handsome 3-row SUV. When comparing these comparable trims, the Acadia's interior design greatly outshines that of its cousin thanks to its distinctive exterior design. Is that worth an extra few grand to you? Because aside from that, not much distinguishes it from the Traverse, particularly when it comes to driving. In light of this, it should be easy to test them side by side. Both are currently available for purchase and are significant improvements over their previous iterations.